Honorable Speaker, I was just discussing, I was here when he was moving the report, and I listened to the cross-cutting issues. And Honorable Speaker, I'm sure you're very much aware, you, Honorable Mbanda, and Wango, and myself, we have been here for a long time. And I was trying to compare what we have been hearing when we get this report presented and what we are hearing. Honorable Speaker, what is very frustrating, and I think as a House, we need to take this very seriously. What was very frustrating, Honorable Speaker, is the fact that all those cross-cutting issues, almost 80% of them have been captured in all past reports. So the question is, are we just doing this for the sake of doing it? Is this House acting in vain? And Honorable Speaker, if you look at the papers for the last 2 weeks, you realize that the Auditor General has been coming out very strongly to indicate areas where public resources are being misappropriated or misdirected. And Honorable Speaker, I think really what we need to do, even as this committee does this wonderful job, excellent job, it is important we think about how do we implement these important recommendations to save this country this kind of wastage. Honorable Speaker, I believe, and I'm sure most of the Kenyans will agree with me, if we spend our resources prudently, Honorable Speaker, we'll have no reason to borrow in this country. Our problem is wastage. There is so much wastage, and those who engage in wastage just move around scot-free. That's why we have, Honorable Speaker, for example, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the report, it says, we have accounting officers, we have chief accountants who cannot keep books of accounts, just simple records of accounts. And Honorable Speaker, that's somebody who has a CPA K in this country. And I do believe, Honorable Speaker, these are some of the people who have CPA K on paper, but in reality, they have not earned those papers. That's what the Public Service Commission was saying. This country has a lot of people with fake degrees and fake academic papers. So I think, Honorable Speaker, time has come. If we give you a mandate to be in charge of our ministry as the chief accounting officer or chief accountant, and you can't prepare simple books of accounts, Honorable Speaker, we have no choice but to sack you so that you go home and do other things. Because we cannot be sitting every time, Honorable Speaker, and we see Kenyans losing money. These are taxpayers' money. The money, Honorable Speaker, you and me, we are being squeezed to the last cent to contribute. Imagine your own small businessman in Mutembei town who has been taxed, and we are talking about taxation here. And after getting that tax from that old man, that old mama, that hawker there, we give the money to Treasury. And let me, Honorable Speaker, the accounting officers, the best they can do is to do what we are seeing in this report. You can't keep books. We cannot continue accommodating this, Honorable Speaker. Look at the issue of the pending bills, Honorable Speaker. And this is a matter we have discussed in this House many times. Our business people, our entrepreneurs, our people who are in the industry, they have gone to the bank, they have borrowed money, millions, they have invested that money, they have produced goods and services, and they have sold those goods and services to the government. Some have gotten loans. And after doing that, Honorable Speaker, you take a whole year. Yesterday, the paper was saying, if you look at the report by the budget, about Parliamentary Budget Office, they were saying Kenya now owes our own businessmen about 796 billion, Honorable Speaker, unpaid bill. These are our fathers, these are our mothers, these are our sisters, these are our brothers. And since we can't pay them, what is happening? Some are getting sick with high blood pressure, some are dying of stress, others are even committing suicide, Honorable Speaker, because they cannot manage the debt. And then the government is here clubbing. I think, Honorable Speaker, as a House, we need to make a simple decision, a very firm decision, that as a House, we push the executive, even if it means, I agree with somebody who was proposing, Honorable Speaker, we can borrow this money through an infrastructural bond or through Eurobond, another Eurobond, that we pay our own people. There is one advantage to that, Honorable Speaker. The advantage is, once you pay them, they are going to engage in economic activities. they are going to spark growth in the economy, because we'll have economic activities, will trigger demand will trigger production. At the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, there will be economic growth and we can collect more money from the same Kenyans. Now, when we deny them the opportunity to pay them, same problem, comes a vicious circle. We want the economy to grow, we are not about our people to do economic activities. So what happens? The economic stagnates. The other point, Honorable Speaker, which is important, is the matter of public debt. When Honorable Mbandi was moving this report, there's something he said, which is very worrying, Honorable Speaker. Some MDAs, government, some ministries, departments, and agencies have gone out there, signed for loans, contracted loans, got the loans committed, and for the last 5 years, they have not drawn a single cent on those loans. So what is the government doing? The government is paying commitment fee. If my memory serves me well, our last report as a Public and Debt Privatization Committee, our last figures were showing, for the last 6 months of last year, the government had paid to the tune of 580 million as commitment fee. Can you imagine how that money can be, how many classrooms you can do? Can you imagine how many dispensaries that money can construct? And we are paying just because somebody somewhere signed for a loan, which was not even properly appraised, and that loan is now been committed. We are paying for a loan we are not using. Why should such an accounting officer, Honorable Speaker, be in office? Why should we pay salary to such a person? These are the major issues. And that's why I think, even as Honorable Man gives us this good report with very clear recommendations, Honorable Speaker, I think now as a House, we need to make a decision. If our implementation committee was working excellently, Honorable Speaker, and I think we need to strengthen that committee, these are some of the recommendations should be taken today, run with them, and I can tell you, Speaker, will save this country so much resources that there will be no need to float any Eurobond. We'll be able to get enough money to sort our people. The other matter, Honorable Speaker, on these loans. You know, there are situations where we are borrowing loans, Honorable Speaker, and in terms of application of the loan, and I want to give a very good example, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you, me, and Band and Wango were here in 2014. We were here when the current Eurobond was being taken. And all along, the Auditor General has been saying he was not sure where that money was applied. And now you can see, we don't need any evidence. Because after 10 years of borrowing this money, if we had invested this money in a productive activity, the loan would be repaying itself. Now, we have gone out there to Eurobond again to take another Eurobond to pay back the Eurobond of 2014. What does it mean? The money never went to economic activity so that it could support repayment of the loan. So we are saying, Honorable Speaker, you don't borrow to consume. You borrow to invest. And anybody who goes out there to borrow, you must be able to borrow to invest. And I think we should actually hold people responsible. We are saying, if you went out there, committed Kenya to a loan, which was never used for investment, you should pay that loan alone. In that case, accounting officers will be more serious in terms of prudent management of public resources, and this country will go to where it should be. Kenya should not be a low middle income by the resources we have and the resilience of our economy. Kenya should be a middle level income country, generating enough resources and possibly giving loans to other countries. But we are not there, Honorable Speaker, because of the same reason. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, you know, Honorable Speaker, at times you get so much annoyed by listening to some of these reports. You ask yourself whether you are worth being in this country. Because this country, we pride ourselves to have the best brains. And Honorable Speaker, you know that because when it comes to legal matters, you are one of those top brains in this country. We have top economists in this country. We have top accountants. We have top engineers. We have everybody top. And despite all these top brains sitting in offices, look at where we are. Honorable Mbandi is telling us, we have not been doing anything for the last 10 years. We continue generating these reports. But now, knowing what Mbandi is and when he was our minority leader, what he's able to do, Honorable Mbandi, I want to urge you, in consultation with the Speaker of this House, and anybody who matters, let's get this report implemented, and we see heads roaring. Once that happens, Kenyans are going to have trust in this House, and they're going to know that we are doing a good job for the country.
Makali, you need more minutes. You've earned 3 more minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much. So, Honorable Speaker, we're just saying, let's push this thing. For example, Honorable Speaker, The issue of variation of contracts. When Dr. Udo was seconding, he says, they have witnessed a situation where, because the law requires you can only vary a contract by 25%, some people have gone to an extent of varying contracts by 24.96. And there are many of them, it's just not one instance, several. In such a situation, Honorable Speaker, what evidence do you need to take such a crook to court? Because it means they're just manipulating the figures so that they take the money away. And that's what we are saying. This country, if we don't address corruption, Honorable Speaker, corruption will eat all of us. It's going to be a ghost which is going to swallow all of us, and we will remain with no country. And that's what I want to urge our colleagues in Kenya Kwanza. And we have said it many times. This is not the time to talk. We have heard enough stories about the eradication of corruption. We want action, Honorable Speaker. We want action. We want to see heads rolling. We want to hear this accounting officer has been put in jail, this PS has been put in jail, this chief accountant has been put in jail, so that we know at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, everybody, it will be like the Bible. Kila mtu atabeba msalaba wake, in quotes. If we go that direction, Honorable Speaker, we will be helping this country. So, Honorable Speaker, these oversight committees, pick and pack, they do excellent job in this country. But how I wish we were able to implement these reports. How I wish we could gang up, all of us as Kenyans, and say, those who have been picked out in these reports as being responsible for the mistakes, they must leave office. And I think we need to introduce, Honorable Speaker, you know, there's this issue about, can you step aside for us to do an investigation and then you come back if you are clean? I think that's a matter we need to push more hard. So that if you are mentioned in a report like this one, step aside, earn 50% of your salary, we clear you, and once we clear you, come back. If we don't clear you, we take you to court. And in that case, then, Kenyans will see the need for being straightforward. They will see the need of being high level of integrity, so that at the end of the day, we have a country for the current generation and the future generation. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this report, but my plea, please, let's move to the next level of implementation of the recommendations. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Makali Mulu, for sharing your